have had ourselves. And it's the fact that so many British people and others can't see that is one of the principal problems in this story. If Hitler had crossed the Channel and occupied our country, we would be like the Palestinian resistance. We'd be firing rockets at them if we were lucky enough to get our hands on any rockets. We'd be fighting them with our hands, with our teeth, if necessary, because they have no right to be here. They have no right to steal our land, steal our houses. They have no right to kill our people. And we're going to fight them back.
Yeah, come on, George.
Because every single political leader, everyone, Cameron, who says he stands staunchly behind Israel, Miliband, who declares the first, the only ever Labour leader ever to do so, declares, I am a Zionist. Why did he do that? It's not even true, I'm sure. Certainly his mother and father were never Zionists, who would have described themselves as anti-Zionists. His mother's on the demonstration in London today, and his father's turning in his grave at his son making such a statement. And there's one thing worse than being a Zionist, it must be to pretend you're a Zionist, to get money and votes from people. It's not worth wasting breath on, but all three of them insist that Israel has the right to go on occupying Palestine and its people without the Palestinians fighting them back. But we reject that. The Palestinians have every right to fight. They have a duty to fight. Otherwise, we're saying that they should be allowed untroubled to take what they have taken and to continue forever to hold it. And I don't think that many takers for that exist in this room, but I can promise you there are virtually no Palestinians who are ready to accept that proposition. So this murderous onslaught is just the latest paroxysm of violence. And we have been through many of those, and many of you have been too. Ron and I met in Beirut in 1977 in a Palestinian refugee camp called Shatila. Sabra and Shatila, just 5 years later, in 1982, became the scene of an horrific massacre of almost 5,000 Palestinian refugees. Almost all of them, again, women and children, because the fighters had been tricked into leaving Beirut. The American plenipotentiary, Philip Habib, signed a document that the international community would protect their families if they agreed to go. And no sooner had the ships sailed out of the harbor in Beirut than Sharon, may God burn him in the hellfires for eternity, Sharon directed the massacre of the refugees in Sabra and Shatila. We were also in Jenin in the early part of the last decade, I think 2002, when the Jenin refugee camp in the West Bank had been set upon and razed to the ground and hundreds of people slaughtered. In fact, we were there, the dead were unburied in the camp. The camp of Jenin is quite an interesting one too, because the people in Jenin camp can actually see the city of Haifa from their rooftop. A beautiful, silvery city by the sea, Haifa. The name itself, beautiful. Many people call their girl Haifa. The people in the camp in Jenin, which is 1 square kilometer, in which 14,000 families live, literally on top of each other, in jerry-built hovels. If they can climb up to a roof, they can see Haifa, which was their city, and from which they had been driven, and their houses now lived in by foreigners from Britain, from France, from the United States, mainly, actually from the United States and many other places. There have been a long line of these massacres from 1948 until now, and they're not going to stop. Even if this ceasefire lasts not 12 hours, but 12 days or 12 weeks, they're not going to stop. So let me move on to the question that we can do something about. And that is the way in which the British media has systematically lied, covered up, ignored the truth in this disaster over the last few weeks. I could give a whole lecture on this. Chomsky could write a whole book on this. The misappropriation of the language, the distortion of words, the twisting of meanings, the reversal of meanings. They start off banal. 20 Palestinians died, 2 Israelis were killed. Israelis are killed, Palestinians merely died. Or the New York Times headline, which had 15 Israeli soldiers killed, 70 others. 70 becomes others, but 15 have to be honored. The newscasters, television crews go to their funerals. Sky News will tell you their names, their sister's name, their wife's name. Their weeping children at the graveside will be pictured. We've seen it all so many times before. Shalit, everybody knows his name, Shalit, the Israeli soldier that was captured by the resistance in Gaza and eventually exchanged for 1,000 Palestinian political prisoners, most of whom have been rearrested and taken back now behind bars, again in clear breach of the internationally guaranteed agreement that was made. Everybody knew Shalit. Who knows any Palestinian prisoners? There are thousands, tens of thousands of Palestinian prisoners. Who knows any of their names?
Oh, sorry.
Because the media, as I put it to that Egypt on Sky News in 2006, what's her name? Anna Botting. As I put it to her in 2006, the more discerning of your viewers already know, from every nuance in your voice, from every line written on your face, that you regard the blood of Palestinian people as less important, less valuable than the blood of Israeli people and other Western, so-called Western people. And that's what lies behind this. 15 Israeli soldiers killed, 70 others. When you're reduced to a nameless, placeless, faceless other, when you're lucky if even your number makes it into the news, how can this be tolerable? How can we claim to have a free press? I work for Russia today. We've just been threatened with another Ofcom investigation like the one they did with Press TV before they took Press TV off the Sky platform. Because they say foreign broadcasters must live up to the same standard of impartiality as British broadcasters are required to do. So you've got to be as impartial as Fox News. You've got to be as impartial as Rupert Murdoch's Sky News and all his other media interests. But of course, we can do nothing about murder. But we can do something about the BBC. You know, when I was a kid, the BBC was something to be proud of. I was, in fact, proud of it. And people all over the world knew it and respected it more, actually, than they should have. But they did respect it. In the run-up to the Iraq War, I called it the Bush and Blair Corporation. I thought it could fall no lower, but it has in this last few weeks fallen still lower. It's distortion, it's willful neglect of facts and activities. Last Saturday, 100,000 people marched in London, not 1 mile from the BBC, and not only did they not broadcast 1 second of the footage of that demonstration, at first they didn't even mention it on their website, and when they did eventually mention it on their website, they had to illustrate it with a picture taken from Channel 4 News. So the Great British Broadcasting Corporation didn't even send a stills photographer to a demonstration of 100,000 people just a mile from their